Thank you very much. Senator Marshall.
All right, thank you, Madam Chairman, and welcome, Undersecretary. It's great to have you back in front of us. Congratulations on your nomination to be Deputy Secretary. We've literally asked some of our producers back home, what questions do you want us to ask you? So these are from my producers. Basically, as Deputy Secretary, you'll be the COO of the USDA. And we've heard from our stakeholders who are concerned about USDA's ability to timely deliver assistance and service to farmers. How do you plan to staff up and ensure USDA remains customer service oriented?
This is a crucial question, and it takes a lot of components, and it's something I'm eager to dive into. A key part of it is making sure that our team has the training and the tools that they need to deliver services timely, that they have the training when it comes to customer service, so they're responding at appropriate amounts of time. Also, that there's good communication across the team, so that if someone in the field has a question about how a program is administered, they've got a clear connection to be able to speak to somebody in the national office. And that's a key reason why we established the State Office of Operations, to be able to facilitate that dialogue better. It's also about making sure they have the tools that they need to do the job. So having updated technology systems where it's not, you don't have to open 6 different programs to enter in one thing. And then it's about making sure that we're finding ways to simplify our processes, whether it's how do we get an environmental report that's a little bit, or an engineering report that's a little bit simpler, or that we're removing match requirements so that folks can better qualify for our programs.
Okay, thank you for the answer. The second part of the question is one you and I have talked about several times, and agriculture is not something, a job that's accomplished well from home. Our farmers and ranchers have to go out and work in the elements every day. They show up and they work literally sun up to sundown. I remain concerned that not just in the USDA, but so many of our departments in Capitol Hill, people are working from home still. An old saying, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. I'm not looking for you to tell me how many people traditionally have worked from home or they're on the road. Are people at USDA back to work in the office yet? How do you measure that? And what is your goal? What do you think it should look like?
I really appreciate you continuing to have this conversation with me, because I agree with you that physical presence in the office matters. It matters that somebody can walk up to a field office and there's somebody there to open the door and talk to them about their challenges. I agree with you that sometimes it's easier for me to walk across the hall and ask a question rather than having to dial them up on Teams. And I've also learned that flexibility is important too. We talked earlier about the challenges of recruiting people, with 38% of our workforce eligible to retire in the next 5 years. One of the first folks I met in Minnesota who had just been hired during COVID, so he was really eager to interact with that RD culture, and he showed up in person at our meeting because he wanted to meet me in person. But he was also asking to meet me in person because he wanted to see if it was at all possible to get a printer at his home, because sometimes it made more sense for him to print out the documents that still have to be filed by paper and go directly to a client rather than having to commute to the office first.
Right.
That flexibility is crucial for being able to recruit and retain.
I respect that, but we signed up for these jobs. I signed up to be a physician. I didn't have the choice of working from home. When people signed up to work for the government, no one said they could work from home. So I don't know. I think that we would be much better served to have our employees back to work. But appreciate your answer. Second question is about the technology you mentioned and just the application process. Senator Bozeman was in Kansas recently with me. Over and over, we heard from farmers, we have to hire an accountant to fill out this application form. They become overly complicated. I was working with my son just yesterday on his application for scholarships and school, and there's one form that works for every university. So our office is trying to streamline a uniform type of application process, streamline this. Are you committed to working with us and giving us the technical language to get the job done right?
I I really appreciate your interest in this. I think there's a lot of work to do, and online applications are crucial. It's something that we're working on in the housing space. We've also worked on it for the Rural Energy for America program. When it comes to one application for all programs, it can get quite complicated. So, for example, combining our WEP programs for water and wastewater with SRF funds, because each state delivers the SRF funds, it's really hard to create an application that would work for everything. So I recognize there would need to be some really good conversations to figure out what's possible, and would love to have those conversations with you.
Madam Chair, could I have one more question?
Yes, you may.
I'm over my time limit here. My producers back home feel like USDA is not fighting on their behalf when it comes to science. And many of our environmental precision agriculture practices are being shunned by the EPA. We feel like the EPA is not respecting the USDA scientists, especially when it comes to pesticides. We feel like the EPA is ignoring USDA suggestions for atrazine mitigation practices. ESPA has ignored USDA suggestions for 11 safe uses of chlorpyrifos. And the DOJ sent a single email at a late time regarding the Ninth Circuit re-emption case. Will you be our fighter? Will you be there fighting to represent agriculture, my producers, when it comes to working with the EPA and other departments at the White House?
If confirmed as Deputy Secretary, a fundamental part of my job is the interagency collaboration. And part of that from USDA is making sure that I'm listening to farmers and ranchers and rural communities, and also communicating our expertise at USDA to our sister agencies.
Well, thank you so much. We look forward to supporting your nomination, and we know you'll do a great job. And let's look forward to continuing the relationship and working together. Thank you.
Thank you.